Hey there, creative souls. Welcome to this very random YouTube channel. I'm just a girl who found an efficient way to do something and decided to share it in case someone else was struggling the way I did. But if you would like to personalize this, you can just call me M, like the letter. And if you're in the comment section, it's great to meet you. So today I'm going to be showing you a very quick way to fit multiple designs on one page in Canva for printing. Now, this design is very effective if you are trying to create like a mood board, specialized invitations, specialized cards for your business, customized cards for your business, um, random postcards, etc. Now, Canva has a feature called bulk create that lets you do this, I guess, but you need to be a Canva Pro subscriber. Now, I know the coins are not easy to get, so for this tutorial, you do not need a Canva Pro account. As you can see here, I am using a free account, not a Canva Pro account, and yeah, let's get into it. So for the purpose of this tutorial, we are going to be assuming we are a fashion brand who likes to leave personalized cards in customers' orders, something to make them feel special, something to say thank you, etc. But you don't want to have to create multiple cards that say the same thing because that's what you'll be able to do if you design here and say you decide to print. Let's get into it. So if you haven't already logged into your Canva page, and what will you design today? First, we are going to be designing the business cards. Then I'm going to be showing you how to put multiple on a single page. Okay, so business cards. I'm going to select business card landscape. Yep, and we need a free design for the purpose of this tutorial. So let's see. Oh, I like this one. Let's use this one. Okay, and select customize this template. Um, so as you can see here, Canva lets you print business cards, but the problem with it is that you can only select two pages. So that means whatever is on this page and whatever is on this page, you can only print multiple of it. So no, thank you for now. Right, so this is our template. Let's just make something quick, very quickly. Since we're going for a fashion brand, let me delete the name and let's make this more fashiony, okay? So I'm going to select fashion. Oh, by the way, I clicked on elements first. Sorry, I'm not a tutorial person, but I clicked on elements and I'm going to select fashion. I think I like this first option. Let's see what it looks like. Oh, cool, 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 cool. Yep, definitely loving this. I'm going to just delete this line by selecting it and hit delete. Well, I'll be damned. I kind of like what I'm looking at. Um, so this is our logo, and this is the front page of our card. The back, let's say we want the back to say something sweet to our customer and for our customer to also know that it's from us, right? So let's delete all of this information because we don't need it for this design. If you want to select multiple designs at the same time, you can just like multiple elements on your design. You can click and drag and you can see it highlights everything. Okay, so right, let's get into it. I'm just going to bring this here very quickly. Now Canva has these lines. You can see them when I drag and move things around that help you see where it is in the screen, where each element is, and how it aligns with the rest of the page. Okay, so we're going to just move things around a little bit. But if you don't have, if you're not like great with organizing and whatnot, you can just select your element and come to this align to page and click center, and it would align it for you. Let me show you how that works very quickly. So this, I want this in the center, but I don't have, the patience or stability to organize it myself. I just select it, click more, and say align to page center, and you can see it aligns it. And I can do the same thing for here. So let's say we are going to call this text to appreciate customer. It's okay to leave a default text right now. Just make sure it looks like what you want it to look like. And we can, in the future of this tutorial, you're going to see how you can customize it. Okay. So this logo looks more like KIN. So we're going to be calling our brand Kin Clothing, I guess. So, yep. If you want to change the text, if you're not like exactly feeling it, you can just come up here. Here you can change the text. Here you can change the size of the text, the color of the text, etc., etc. I think I'm going to be using something, scripty, something curly. I can do the same thing for here. So let's say we are going to call this text to appreciate customer. It's okay to leave a default text right now. Just make sure it looks like what you want it to look like, and we can, in the future of this tutorial, you're going to see how you can customize it. Okay, so this logo looks more like KIN, so we're going to be calling our brand Kin Clothing, I guess. So, yep. If you want to change the text, if you're not like exactly feeling it, you can just come up here. Here you can change the text. Here you can change the size of the text, the color of the text, etc., etc. I think I'm going to be using something, scripty, something curly, or let's say this one. Yeah, this one seems more scribbled, and yeah, I think I like this one. Okay, so these are the two things that we need to create this particular project. Now that we have it, we're going to go to the next step of this tutorial, which is our document. So we're going to go back to our Canva homepage, back to home, and we're going to select here, document. Now we're not selecting any templates, we are creating a blank one. If you don't see document here, you can just type it here, just like I typed in the business cards. Now, document is different from doc. Okay, so to be clear, we're not using the doc template, we're using the document A4 portrait template, and we're going to be creating a blank. This is what our document looks like. I have all these rulers at the top, but if you don't want them, you can turn them off. I'll show you that later. I'm going to zoom this out just a little bit so that we can see what we're working with. Okay, cool. Now this is where we are going to be putting all our business cards, and we are going to be editing it here. Now, if you look at this document right at the top, you can see print letterheads, which means Canva lets you print these letterheads delivered to your doorstep, etc. But it's a front and back, just like the business card. But what this tells us is that we can have two pages and we can align what's on the front to be the same as what's on the back, so that when you cut it, you're going to have a front and a back. okay, because that's what we're trying to establish, a card that has a front and a back. All right, we have designed the front and the back of the card, and now we're going to try to align it so that the front and the back is the same. Okay, so let's get into it. So we're going to come back to our business card. Excuse me, I blanked out for a sec there. And we are going to try to copy the design from here to the document. Now, to do that, we have to select, but as you can see, Canva is only selecting the elements that is on the design. Now, how do we fix that? Because you need to, let me show you how it works. So if I select just this and I say copy, if I try to paste it on the document, you can see it only pastes the logo. Now we need the card with the background, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and undo that, and I'm going to show you how to lift the card with the background. So what you're going to do is you're going to come back to elements, and you're going to search for square, or in the lines and shapes, which is the first in the elements, you would see a square there. So we're going to select this rounded square, and we're going to change the color to the color of the background. Then you make the square just a little bit smaller than the background by extending it using the bars that Canva has provided. Now, as you can see, we have our square, but it has covered our logo. We're going to take the square and select position and backward, meaning I'm sending it to the back of the design. Now, we are going to select backward as many times as possible till our logo is back on top. But you have to make sure you do not send your square behind the background, because then we would not be able to touch it. So we're going to say backward, backward. Yep. Now we have our logo in front of the square, but as you can see, the square is not behind the background. Now we're going to copy the square and do the same thing on the second page. Paste, right? Backward, backward. Okay, now that we have it, we are going to try selecting again. So I'm going to come to the logo and select. Now, as you can see, Canva is highlighting the square this time, right? So you can easily use a Command C if you're using a Mac, or a Control C if you're using a Windows, to copy without having to select the more button. So I'm going to Command C here. You cannot see my keyboard, and I'm going to come back to the document and Command V and paste. Now, as you can see, this is the front. Now, the front of our business cards are going to be the same, which is the logo. So this first page is going to be for the front. The second page, add page, is going to be for the back, okay? So we're going to select the second page here, Command C, back here, Command V. Boom, and there we have it. But that is not all, okay? We have to organize it so that when we print it out, we can cut it out equally, okay? So to do that, and this is the most important step of this tutorial, so I need you to pay optimum attention. So this is our first page. Our first page is going to have the logo all over, and the second page is going to have the back all over. Now, to do this in a very effective way, Canva has features that is going to help us. Now, if we come here and we select our business card, you can duplicate it multiple times, but you stand the risk of moving the elements around and scattering it. So what you're going to do is you're going to select it, okay, and you're going to group. Group in Canva allows you to move multiple elements in sync, in arrangement, in the way you had placed it earlier. Okay, so now that we have grouped it, we can easily duplicate as many times as possible. Now we have multiple fronts, but they are all scattered, right? So you can see why I say the next step is going to be very important. So I'm going to undo all of that and then show you what the next step is. The next step is building a guide. And to do that, you're going to come up here to File, View Settings, and click on Add Guides. Now, guides are the purple lines in Canva. I'm going to zoom out so you can see it clearly. File, View Settings, Add Guides. Guides are the purple lines in Canva that direct the placement of your elements. Now, because we are trying to place multiple equal-sized business cards on one single page, we need these guides. Now, let's say we want to create 8, right, for this particular page. So we're going to say we need 8, right? Yeah. So 8 means we need 2 columns of 4. So we're going to change the column to 2. Now, unfortunately, I don't know why Canva does that. But if you put in a number, it does not show the difference until you select anywhere else. So after typing 2, I'm supposed to be seeing just 2 columns, but I need to move my cursor away and you can see the 2 columns. Now, we need 4 rows, yeah? 4 rows. Good. Now, but this is not organized enough, and here's why. If we place our business cards in each of these boxes, when we want to cut, it becomes more tricky. So let's make this a little bit easier for us to use, okay? And to do that, we're going to put gaps at the top, sides, and inside. Okay, now the gap function here is for putting gaps inside. The margin function here is for putting gaps at the top and at the side. Okay, so let's say we want a gap of 10. Yeah, you can see the difference. So now the boxes are more far apart, which leaves room for mistakes when cutting. And we also need like gaps on the outside. So these gaps, you can see they are just on the inside. So I want to try to make the gap as close to our business card as possible for equity. So let's say 14 and 28. Now I'm using 2 times the margin for the column and row because this is longer and this is shorter. Okay, so let's see what that looks like. Ooh, awesome. So far, I like what I'm seeing, and this is what we're going to be working with. So yeah, then you click on Add Guides. Now you can see the guides are added and locked, which means you cannot move them, you can only move your design. So now we can move our design to fit into the box. I don't know about you, but I like what I'm seeing. And but if you remember, we made the square here and we made the square smaller than the actual business card. So this is our opportunity to correct it. And to do that, we are going to ungroup what we have grouped so that we can select this bar for the squares. Now, good advice would be to make the business card slightly bigger than the guide, than the margin, so that when you're cutting, again, it leaves room for mistakes, shaky hands, and whatnot. So I'm going to make this bigger slightly, just ever so slightly. And this is the template that we are going to be working with. Right, so to have all our fronts on this page, I'm going to duplicate it. But before I duplicate it, I'm going to group again, just because it makes it easier. So now that I've grouped it, I can duplicate it in 8 places. I think the picture is starting to come together. If you go back to print letterheads, you can see what your design is looking like here. right? It just helps me see better. Close. And the same thing is going to happen for the back. So the front of our business card collection is complete. It's important to make sure that they are all in sync, and to do that you can see these lines, these pink lines, they help you. I'm going to zoom out more, or zoom in more rather, and you can see the lines helping you, those tiny dotted lines. Yep, they are your best friends for this design. Now, I assure you it's not as complicated as it looks. I'm just a very detailed instructor. And this is the front of our business card. And we're going to be repeating the same process for the back. Now, the back is important because this is where we start to customize our business cards. Now, as you can see, when you scroll, the guide automatically follows you, which I think is just a sweet, sweet feature. Now, as you zoom, oh, see what I mean? If you don't group, I ended up moving just the square. Okay. Thank God for undo. Okay. So now I'm going to group it and move it. Yep. And then I'm going to ungroup it so that I can expand the squares. Right? Expand. Now I'm going to make the back more bigger than the front, because of placement issues. I know that nobody's perfect, so the best advice would be make the back bigger than the front, so that when the placement is happening, in case you have the back moved slightly shorter or slightly longer than the front, you'll still be able to cut out a complete business card from the printout. Okay, so I'm making this slightly bigger. Right, there we go. Good. And I'm going to group it and duplicate it. Right, so you can see I put the back very close to each other so that there is more room, for placement, like I talked about. I'm putting them really, really close to each other, but making sure that they are still aligned. So I sped that part up because of time. Now that we are done arranging, you can see our front and you can see our back. Now, if you go to print it front and back, you would have this page in the front and this page in the back. Okay. That makes it easier to cut out. If you zoom in on this sample image, you can see how organized it is going to be. Close. Now that you have your placement on lock, right, you can turn off the guides if you want. I prefer to leave it. Then you can start to customize your individual business cards. So text to appreciate customer, let's say you are a beautiful queen. Let me zoom that out. Thank you, Grammarly. And you can customize it with as many random text as you want. I'm just going to put like random letters, and that's it. When you are done, you can now decide to have Canva print it out for you. It starts with a minimum of 25 letterheads, and goes all the way to 1,000 letterheads. But if you let Canva print, that means you're going to be getting 25 of this front and back, meaning whatever you have here, all 8 business cards, you're going to be getting 25, because if you ask Canva to print and they give you 25 pages front and back, When you cut it out, you're going to be cutting 25 of each business card. So what I would advise is that you download. When you download, you select PDF print because that's best for printing all pages. If you use Canva Pro, you can select CMYK. If you don't, you can just select RGB. But I don't think it's going to have much difference. The only thing is, if you are in your print shop, you can send them the file and ask them to correct it with CMYK. Or if you're using something like these colors that don't, have so much hue, so much red, green, or blue, you're still good to go. So after you select PDF print, then you hit download. So you can just put the file in your printer and ask it to print front and back. Let me show you how. So the file has downloaded, and we have this front and this is our back, right? So if I want, I would just select print. Pages per sheet, I would select 2. So you can see you have this front and this back. Now, if you can see, the back is higher than the front, which is what I mean when I say leaving room for cut mistakes, right? And then you connect to a printer of your choice and you're good to go. So that's the end of the tutorial for today. I hope in the middle of all my rambling, you found it helpful in any way at all. If you need more tutorials or there's something you're struggling with in Canva, I use Canva in my everyday job. I just don't record tutorials of it. And I've spent enough time to be able to find like hacks to avoid paying for Canva Pro. So let me know in the comments if this was helpful to you at all. I know it's a long tutorial, but stick with it.